Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Gretchen and this is Cover Art, a series where I discuss video games I'm currently playing while doing my makeup based on said video games. If you're ever curious as to what I'm using, I will list all the products in the description below. Otherwise, I'm going to hop right in. So this week we are going to be talking about a game called Paradise Killer. It is available on Steam and on the Switch. And this is actually another game that I played through with my husband. Another single player game that we just kind of went through together, which was also a lot of fun. As you can see, I have ditched the headband because it is nothing but a ton of problems on my hair after the fact. So Paradise Killer was developed by Kaizen Gameworks and it was published by Fellow Traveler. It was just released in fall of 2020. I think in September is when it came out. Paradise Killer is an open world adventure investigation game. It's a whodunit basically. In it, you play a character named Lady Love Dies. Yes, that is her full name, Lady Love Dies, or LLD for short. Lady Love Dies was a member of an organization called the Syndicate, whose goal is to resurrect their dead alien gods. The Syndicate resides in a pocket dimension separate from the rest of the world. Lady Love Dies, however, was actually sent into exile for a betrayal she committed on one of the island sequences that they had. So as you start the game, it'll actually give you a little bit of background information as to the world. The lore in this game and the world building is really huge. It's amazing what they did. It's so unique, it's so different, and it's so cool learning about it as you run through the game, in my opinion. It's a lot of fun. So Lady Love Dies is residing in exile, and it's just another day for her. It's like her 3 millionth day in exile when a strange creature appears at her door saying that some bad stuff has gone down on Paradise, on the island that she is like in exile, so she resides over the island and can kind of look over it, but she doesn't have anyone to talk to. Like, she's just up there by herself. So this weird creature who calls himself Shinji is this demon or alien that's coming to kind of give you a heads up, like, hey, the game's starting, there's some stuff going on down there that you're gonna be called in for. Lady Love Dies is a self-identified investigation freak, so whenever crimes were committed or anything suspicious was going down on the island, she was the one who would go and investigate and solve any crimes or cases that were brought to her prior to her exile. So Lady Love Dies receives a phone call from another character by the name of Judge. She finds out that the entire Syndicate Council was murdered overnight, and she's being brought out of exile in order to investigate the case before moving on to the new island sequence, Island number 25. They keep referring to it as Perfect 25 because it'll be their perfect island. The whole goal of the Syndicate is for them to resurrect these dead alien gods in their pocket dimension. So every time they start up a new island, they get civilians, citizens, and they become worshippers to try and resurrect these gods, but anytime something goes wrong, they have to restart a new island. So they're on Island 24, and they're about to go to 25 when their council has been totally decimated. No one knows what happens, and so Lady Love Dies is called out to figure out what is going on and how the entire Syndicate Council was killed. So it's an open world investigation game. You go in once Lady Love Dies comes out of exile, and you're able to basically explore the entirety of this island. It's pretty huge, and if you're directionally challenged like me, it'll take you a little while to figure out where everything is, but it's really cool. She can just kind of jump around, explore. You're investigating different clues, interrogating all the people that are still left. Anyone that's left on the island when the murder had taken place is considered a suspect, which I think is completely fair to say. So Lady Love Dies drops down with her handy assistant Starlight, which is her laptop, and it is a translator. It's a huge database. Anytime you meet a character, Starlight is like, here, let me tell you about this character and their whole background and what part they have in the Syndicate. So it's going to be your entire investigation journal, and it's super handy. She also can eventually get upgrades if you discover different upgrades that you can find around the island for her to make it easier for her to solve little puzzles or upgrade it to unlock different areas that you can't get into initially. There are a ton of characters that you can interact with, and they all have like crazy wild names for the most part. I think the most normal name of the characters you interact with is probably Lydia and Sam Daybreak. They probably have the most normal names. But you got characters like Dr. Doom, Jazz, and Crimson Acid, Grand Marshal Akiko 14. I don't know why she has a 14 in her name, but she does. And then there's Shinji, your little demon friend, court, whatever you want to call him, who kind of pops up around the island and just really just talks to you about what's going on. He's a fun character. So when you get on the island, you immediately go and talk to Judge, but one cool thing about it was that you can pretty much explore the island as much as you want. Or if you wanted to, you could immediately go to trial. When you go to trial, you'll have to bring evidence forth when you're accusing people of different crimes. The big one being the murder of the council, but as you explore the island, you'll find little other things that might be going on underneath, depending on how much you explore. I don't consider myself to be like a huge completionist. You know, I've gotten like 90% of this game completed. I'm pretty good there, but I really just explored the crap out of this island. I ran around, I jumped around everywhere. I got into every nook and cranny that I possibly could to find any evidence. And then there's also so much that you can learn about the characters and the island itself and the syndicate and what they do and how they're trying to revive these dead gods, these dead alien gods. There's like a ton of them that they're trying to revive. You learn about big events like the Great Betrayal, what it was like for them before they came onto the island, because they've been here for like millennia. They've been here for ages trying to resurrect these gods of theirs. But they're in this pocket dimension, so they're not aging. They're pretty much immortal themselves at this point. So you can pick up things called relics that will tell you more about the world and how they ended up here, how they ended up becoming immortal themselves. It's really cool, and it's just like, really, the lore in this game is so neat. I don't know where they came up with the stuff they did, but it's really unique and it's really fascinating, in my opinion. I cannot tell you how many times I was just jumping around, like going through different buildings, walking around, and just like going into all kinds of crazy areas just to see if there was more lore I could find, because it was so cool. Within Island 24, there's also a form of currency that you can find. It's called a blood crystal. You can find blood crystals in like the weirdest places, honestly. Blood crystals will help you go through and unlock different modes of transportation and fast travel, which is really handy because the island is pretty huge. Running around does get a little bit tiring. You can also buy soda from vending machines, which doesn't seem all that productive because they're not really anything useful with items that you buy. But I will say it is beneficial to get soda because you'll eventually be able to unlock something with the amount that you've purchased. So it's a lot of little things like that spread out throughout the game that it won't necessarily tell you about, but it's really useful once you figure those things out. These might be the biggest wings I've ever put on my eyes, honestly. Around Paradise also, you will find these little pool areas, these little like rest and relaxation areas that will actually unlock upgrades for LLD herself. So for instance, all you can do right at the beginning really is jump as far as her physical abilities go, but eventually you'll be able to unlock double jumps and like a meditate ability that will kind of let you see different clues around in the area. It's really helpful unlocking the double jump. Like I said, my husband and I played this again together in a way, but I eventually just took over all controls because I would say that the control scheme for the game is maybe not clunky, but it's certainly unique and takes some getting used to. Once I got used to running and jumping and doing all of these acrobatic skills, it really just was left to me to explore the island while we kind of went over clues and investigation notes that we were finding. There are also a ton of like little puzzles around that we worked out together, and I thought that was a lot of fun. There are a lot of like little side quests that aren't necessarily marked as side quests, but once you find them, Starlight will actually input notes into her database, like reminding you like, hey, if you want to try and solve this thing, or if you want to try and help this ghost. Yes, I did say ghost. Don't forget you can do that. So she's just like a really helpful laptop, because every investigator needs an assistant. For instance, I said before there are a lot of like separate little mysteries that you can uncover. One of them is actually brought to your attention right away, but when you come across it, you really start digging into the meat of it. And that is the disappearance of one of the syndicate members. He's just suddenly gone. Like, where has he gone? It's just the syndicate members, the civilians, and that's it on the island. Occasionally demons that they'll try to fend the island from. But other than that, it's like, where did he go? What happened, my dude? Where have you gone? Honestly, his missing mystery, or just like his missing persons notice, kind of immediately fell off my radar, truth be told, because there's so much going on in and around the island to explore when you get there, that until I came across his residence, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this dude. He's totally missing. What happened here? And then you can go in and see what's going on with that. Try and solve that little mystery as well. See if it's tied to the murder of the council or if it's something else entirely. I've also never had this much mascara on my eyes. And I can like see it a little bit in the corner or the top of my eye. I can see the clumps of it. It's wild. Overall, the island itself has like really heavy vaporwave feels, which is really cool. The music is amazing. It's so well done, you guys. I don't really much care for soundtracks, to be totally honest with you. I know I told you last week that like Hades has a really good soundtrack, and it does. But I'm not one to like go on Spotify and find it and listen to it in that way. But boy, Paradise Killer was an entirely different story. I'm talking got the vinyl of the soundtrack pre-ordered. That's how much I love it. Oops. You know, I'll just find that later. The music is done by an artist named Barry Epoch Topping. I think his artist name is just Epoch, but if you're interested in listening to it, I would suggest checking it out. It's on Spotify. Gosh, it's so good. I get it stuck in my head constantly. I think there's also an incredibly unique art style to the game. I'm really all around impressed with the creativity that is just all around encompassing the game when it comes down to the island design, character design, the design of the island itself. It's all really unique, which I think is hard to find in a lot of video games nowadays because there's so much content out there. How do you make yours stand out? I think that's a real challenge when it comes to game design, and Paradise Killer did it in an amazing way. So kudos to them for that. I think it's so cool. I mean, your main character is called Lady Love Dies. You've got all of these gods that you're trying to wreck, all of this lore. It is really well written. You've got other characters in the game, like Dr. Doom Jazz, and all of these characters have their own style, their own story. You can spend time with them. You can just hang out with them to raise your relationship with them and unlock more information from them that way. If you spend more time with characters, you're going to get more out of them. One character, even Crimson Acid, she specializes in trading off information. Like that's her jam. She's got secrets and she'll sell them to you for blood crystals if you got them. There are even points with certain characters that you can have relationships with them. It's a very mild dating sim. Honestly, didn't realize I was building relationships with these characters until they were like, hey, you wanna come inside? And I was like, oh shit, okay. I think there are a couple characters you can do that with. But yeah, the closer you get to them, the more willing they are to talk to you, the more information you'll get, and more evidence ultimately when you bring it to trial. You know, depending on how much you've explored the island, which I'm serious, you guys, I spent hours just meandering and looking for clues, looking for literally anything that would help me when I go to trial. And there's so much that you can find. A lot of the really hard evidence that I did find, totally on accident. I remember like I got this drill from Dr. Doom Jazz. I was like, yeah, I'll borrow that. Why not? Because he offered it and I took it, and you know, I'm wandering around the island. I'm talking to characters. I think, yeah, let's wander off over there. Let's get off the beaten path and hop into this grass. And then, oh look, what's that? What's that little divot in the grass there? Let me use my drill that I borrowed from Dr. Doom Jazz super randomly and see what that is. Oh my god, oh look, a completely hidden cavern. Like, there is so much to explore, and you can explore however much you want of it. You can really take as much time as you want or be as quick as you want about it. Totally up to you. I really spent so much time on this game. I couldn't tell you how many hours I played. Maybe I'll go look later and put that in the description for you guys so you're aware of the kind of effort I put into it. Because it was a lot. There's so much to do, so much to explore, so much to learn. It's all so cool. And like I said, the writing was really well done for all of it, I think. I mean, I was really interested in the lore when we got into the thick of it. I was like, what's going on? What is the Syndicate? Why are they doing this? It's a really interesting universe that they create. So that is Paradise Killer. Let me know if you guys decide to try it out. It's, again, another game that was really well received. It's got like a 10 out of 10 on Steam. It's a ton of fun, especially if you have a partner or a friend or someone who wants to go through it with you, because finding out all of these little plot twists and all these minor mysteries that are going on is a ton of fun by yourself, but even more fun if you have someone going alongside you for the ride. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you decide to try it out. Let me know what you think of my makeup look, and thank you for joining me for this. I had a lot of fun talking about it. I hope you have a lovely day or night ahead of you, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Who are you?
Welcome back to the blood-stained paradise, Lady Lovedeyes.
The investigator is here.